What's up, fasters? This is Dr. LeGrand here for another fasting video on this live stream. And in this live stream, we're going to be talking about alternate day fasting and OMAD versus OMAD, basically. And I'm really excited about this one because I'm going to have you guys interact with this because there's actually really no research comparing alternate day fasting and OMAD, at least to my knowledge at this point. So I'm going to share my experiences with it and working with other patients and go through each topic. So when I go over a topic, then you will vote and I'll let you know when you'll just vote in the comment section below. I try to make some slides beforehand, but technical issues. So we'll try to make this interactive as much as possible. So first off, when we're talking about alternate day fasting versus OMAD, to kind of clarify, when I'm talking about alternate day fasting, I'm not talking about like one meal a day every other day. I'm talking about 36-12. So you're fasting for 36 hours and then you have a 12-hour eating span window. That's where the new research is kind of coming out. I think the other version, it's not as great, especially because a lot of the other alternate day fasting types of research usually always included about a 500 calorie intake every other day, which I don't think is a true alternate day fasting in my opinion. And so the new research coming out for 36-12 is actually more beneficial. So we're going to talk about 36-12. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about alternate day fasting, when you're voting for alternate day fasting versus OMAD. Now, of course, as OMAD, that's one meal a day. So that's usually a 20, fasting for 20 hours or fasting for 22 hours. However you do your one meal a day, that's what we're talking about. So first topic, when we are talking about alternate day fasting versus also OMAD. Now, when we vote, if you see this on the replay, still comment in the comment section below. I'll try to also tally that up, see if it does change, if you actually are not able to be here on the live stream. But the first question is, okay, does, as far as losing weight, which is better, alternate day fasting or one meal a day? My opinion is that when it comes to looking at losing weight, we have to factor a few things. The big one is, of course, ketosis. When you break down your fat cells, when you're in a ketogenic state. It's really hard, in my opinion, to get in a ketogenic state, especially if your diet is not great to begin with, to use a one meal a day because you're only fasting for 20 hours. Can you get in ketosis? You can if your diet beforehand is a low-carb diet doing something keto. But when you do the 36-12, they found that, of course, after 24 hours plus, you can get into the ketogenic state. And so doing something like 36-12, you're going to be breaking down those fat cells. So that's one factor. The other thing is I believe that people do not break their fast properly on a one meal a day, myself included. Every time from my experience when I've wanted to really lose weight, anytime I do the 36-12, I tend to lose weight easier versus doing one meal a day. I could do one meal a day every day, and I've been doing that a lot, and I feel like I've been getting in a rut, especially when I work with patients. Okay, so working with patients, anytime when I have them on the one meal a day, they find that it's easy. Yeah, it's easy to do, but they'll find maybe a little benefits of losing some weight, but then they hit a plateau. But once we switch them over to 36-12, it's a little more challenging, but they're able to fast longer, break down more fat cells, and if you have it scheduled right, where every time you're breaking your fast with 36-12, when you're breaking your fast doing 36-12 in the morning, people tend to not eat a whole lot in the morning, whereas one meal a day, people eat a ton at night, myself included. So we kind of overeat, and that can cause some problems for trying to lose weight. So my vote, as you can kind of guess, is on alternate day fasting. So what I want you guys to do below, comment below, and I'll try to tally this up. So type in A for alternate day fasting if that's your vote for this one, and B for one meal a day. So go ahead and leave that in the comment section below, and we will tally this all up and see who wins at the end of this live stream. And of course, at the end of this live stream, I will answer as many questions as I can, depending on what time remains. Okay, so make sure to stay also tuned. So go ahead and leave it in the comment section below what your vote is. A is for alternate day fasting, so just remember that, and just type in B for OMAD. All right. Okay, so I see some people typing that in here, so good. All right, so next thing going into the next vote here is, let's see here, which is easier? I'm not going to spend too much time on here because I think everybody knows one meal a day is easier. I just mentioned that before from my own experience, from patients' experience. 1 meal a day is going to be easier. People have an easier time to only have to, fast for 20 hours. But when you have to do alternate day fasting, you do 36 and then you eat. Then you do 36 and then you eat. It could be difficult. However, that being said, there is research out there that does mention that when they had people do the 36-12 or alternate day fasting, they found after about 2 weeks of being consistent with it, patients or the clients they found it to be easier after they were able to do it consistently for 2 weeks. People sometimes, they'll try it for maybe a week or just do a couple days and they're like, oh, this is not for me. But you have to realize you got to give it some time. So trying to implement it more can make it easier, but I think 1 meal a day is easier. So that's my vote. So go ahead and leave in the comment section below as well. Comment A is for alternate day fasting if that's your vote, if you think it's easier for alternate day fasting, or B for 1 meal a day for your vote. So go ahead and do that as well. All right, so next one. Here we go. Moving on. Let's see what we got here. So which is better for increasing autophagy? This is a good topic because not only, I always stress more on the health sides of benefits. I find that losing weight is just a perk with fasting, but everybody tries to use that as their gateway of why they do fasting. I get it. A lot of people want to lose weight, but there's so many other health benefits with fasting. So if we look at autophagy, okay, when does autophagy start? There's some research on this. I've talked about this a little bit, and we still don't know completely, but we do know that the body has to get to a point where it's depleted the glycogen storage, where nutrients is depleted, where mTOR is shut off. Now remember, mTOR is when it's turned on, it's sensing for nutrients. So mTOR, once it senses nutrients, so anytime we eat something, it's going to shut off autophagy, okay? So if we look at 36-12, you're fasting longer. And we do know once you kind of pass 20, 24 hours, we can reach into autophagy levels. Sometimes even it takes longer. So obviously, doing 36-12, you're going to increase autophagy levels better versus doing 1 meal a day. Because 1 meal a day, most people who are doing 1 meal a day, you're doing fasting for 20 hours, maybe 22 hours. And then again, you're not breaking it very properly. Whereas with 36-12, you break it in the morning. You could, do a veggie juice or just bone broth, because most people like to do a lighter meal for breakfast. So I find that 36-12 has the vote for me as far as doing increasing levels of autophagy. So go ahead and leave in the comment section below as well. What is your vote as far as when it comes to do you think it's alternate day fasting? So type in A. If you think it's 1 meal a day, type in B. So just keep on going. So let's go on for the next one. And it looks like so far, just to kind of let people know how the voting's going, it looks like so far alternate day fasting is winning. So next one is, which is better for increasing stem cells? Now, if you have actually watched my videos on stem cells, I did one just previously too, is when does stem cells start? This is a gray area because stem cells start at different times in our body. Same with autophagy. They find autophagy starts in different parts of our body. It isn't just, it peaks at 48 hours. That's why we believed in the past that, yeah, it's 48 hours. But there's some new research that's showing that sometimes it activates later, past 48 hours in the brain and other parts of the body. Same with stem cells. Now, generally, it does take about 3 days of fasting, but they've also found stem cells in the digestive system can be activated after 24 hours. So when it comes to alternate fasting, which one does, or OMAD, which one does increase stem cells better? Well, it's probably alternate fasting because, again, we're fasting longer. You're going to be able to increase those stem cells, or at least get some stem cell increased levels when you're doing 36-12 versus the 1 meal a day. So that's my vote. What is your guys' votes? Again, A is for alternate day fasting. B is for OMAD. All right, next question, or at least the next vote, or sorry, not the next thing is which is better for metabolism? So is it better to do alternate day fasting, or is it better to do 1 meal a day to increase your metabolic rate? So I'm going to talk about a little bit of different researches here. 1 meal a day, we know that fasting and intermittent fasting does help with increased metabolism. My belief is, and what also the new research that came out in August about alternate day fasting, specifically the 36-12, is they did a lot of different markers of metabolism. looking at cardiovascular, looking at for, also our cells, also looking at autophagy, different things that can be increased while you're doing alternate day fasting because you are fasting longer, doing 36-12 versus just the one meal a day. The other thing that also to keep in mind when you're doing one meal a day, how well are you breaking your fast? Because you can actually destroy your metabolism if you are overeating on your one meal a day and eating terribly. This can really destroy your metabolism. This is why I believe that with alternate day fasting, even though it's harder to actually implement it, but once you get past that 2 weeks, trying to do it, for 2 weeks straight, it becomes easier. But you are able to actually have a better consistency of breaking your fast versus when you're doing one meal a day. So I believe that, your metabolic rates do increase in both, but I think with the 36-12, especially since you're doing alternate day fasting, it keeps your metabolism on its toes. Whereas one meal a day, it gets comfortable. When you're having one meal a day every day, your metabolic rate, in my opinion, though, there isn't a whole lot of research on this, is it starts to decreasing. In fact, when they did a comparison of the old types of alternate day fasting where every other day they would have 500 calories, so that's what I don't think is a good way of doing alternate day fasting, they actually found that it did kind of decrease metabolic rate. It's because you're decreasing your calorie intake. So when you're doing one meal a day, same thing, your body's going to think, oh, I don't need to produce as much energy to burn energy because there's nothing very much to burn when you're doing one meal a day, and it gets comfortable. But when you do 36-12, you're tricking the body. Every other day, you're eating a full, day's worth of meals. So that's my vote, is also alternate day fasting. Kind of see where this trend is. So what is your guys' vote? A, for alternate day fasting. B, for OMAD. All right, next one. And just to kind of let you guys know, it looks like everybody's also agreeing that alternate day fasting is winning so far. So continuing on to the next one. So I put here, which is better for increasing your immune system? So with the immune system, I think all types of intermittent fasting can help with increase your immune system. But what's also interesting with the new research I'm finding is that they're finding, autophagy does help reset the immune system. So going back to what we talked about before, which one does increase our autophagy levels more? Well, my vote was on alternate day fasting. But now with alternate day fasting, but with the thing is if we can increase autophagy levels better, it's going to benefit our immune system. So obviously alternate day fasting is going to increase that more because we're fasting longer versus the one meal a day. In fact, I'm not even, it's really tough to probably even reach levels of autophagy with one meal a day unless you're doing a low carb diet or a keto diet, something like that. Then I think it might be easier to kind of jump into that. So that's my vote. What's your guys' vote? A, for alternate day fasting, B, for OMAD. Now the next one is, which is better for reversing type 2 diabetes? So this is a really good question because with working with patients on this, and I've experimented as far as, what works better, one meal a day or alternate day fasting. I've also been looking at a lot of different research when it comes to, reversing type 2 diabetes. And where I've seen it is more on the alternate day fasting that has been able to get people completely off of this is for type 2 diabetics, to get them completely off of their diabetes medications, metformin, insulin, you name it, and you see it. And this usually I've seen it from 11 month span where these were more long-term studies, but also working with patients as well. I'll start them off doing some intermittent fasting typically just to get their body adapted to it, and then we'll switch to doing one meal a day. But it isn't until I've seen what I've seen when I finally get them to get into a routine of doing 36-12 that their blood sugar levels come down to more of a normal range, and we're able to start, getting them off their medication, start cutting back, their dosage on their metformin, and also getting them off their insulin. Those, what I have found as far as alternate day fasting. So I think, in my opinion, alternate day fasting is the best way for type 2 diabetics. But of course, you got to work with a physician because you have to have someone alternating, not alternating, but also decreasing your dosage of your medication as you're doing alternate day fasting. So you have to be really careful there because you can hit really low blood sugar levels, which is not a good thing. But yeah, that's my opinion. So what's your guys' vote? Vote that in the comment section below. Okay, next one is, let's see here. So which is better for cardiovascular health? So for cardiovascular health, it goes back to also looking at the research. And the new research that was back in August, they found that there was a lot of benefit of cardiovascular markers while doing the 36-12. They were able to find that people were able to decrease their cardiovascular markers. So there's things like hypertension, markers for the heart, things like that they were able to decrease. Now, OMAD can do the same thing as long as you're doing it correctly and breaking the fat, or at least having your meal more of a healthier meal versus something very high carbs when you're breaking your fast, and also processed foods. But with alternate day fasting, just the research kind of seeing that, and also from my experience working with patients, is I've been able to see successfully doing alternate day fasting, be able to see their high blood pressures going down, and able to bring down their dosage of their high blood pressure medications versus doing one meal a day. And I think the reason being, at least from my experience working with patients, is most patients, when they're doing one meal a day, they're eating crappy. It's just, they eat crappy and it's not going to help. Whereas when they do the 36-12, they break their fast in the morning, they're a little bit more mindful, and they're able to, have maybe a little bit of vegetables or, bone broth, something that's more simple and light to kind of give your digestive system to get it back on par, as well as, not eating something super processed or inflammatory that can increase your blood pressures. So go ahead and leave your vote as well down below. What your guys' opinion on with cardiovascular health, with OMAD or also alternate fasting. So the last one, kind of more of a tiebreaker, but I think overall, again, if you are not on the live stream here and just watching the overplay, go ahead, leave your comments in the section below, your vote, whether it's alternate fasting or OMAD. The last one is, which is easier to break your fast properly? I've already pretty much answered this question through it, but really, I think when you are doing a one meal a day, it's very easy to just be like, oh yeah, I'll just skip breakfast and lunch, come home from work, and just eat whatever is, for dinner. And then eat, my snacks and all the food that I was thinking about throughout the day. That's where it makes it very difficult to break your fast properly. But with 36-12, not saying that it's any easier, but if you have your schedule where you actually break your fast in the morning, you could also do it with one meal a day. So if you decide to have your one meal for breakfast, it might be healthier. I don't know. For most people have a higher appetite at night. Not everybody. Some people have a bigger appetite in the morning or during the day. But what I like to tell people is wherever you feel you have your biggest appetite, that's when you should be fasting. And when you have your least amount of appetite, that's when you should actually break your fast, because you'll break it properly. So in my opinion, I think alternate day fasting makes it easier that way, because if you do it scheduled it worth doing in the morning, then it's easier to break. So again, leave your vote in the down below in the comment section below of which one do you think is better. I think ultimately at the very end of this, you have to fit what works best for you. So I'm not saying alternate day fasting is best for everybody, but from my experience, again, this is just my opinion. I'm not saying this is all research, because there's not any research that I've seen that compares alternate day fasting versus OMAD. I'm just looking at other research I've seen for alternate day fasting and other research for OMAD, and then my experience working with patients, as well as my own experience too, as what I see as kind of a benefit is doing alternate fasting correctly, doing 36-12 versus doing one meal a day. But when you have to look at that, it has to come to what works best for you. What ultimately do you find that's easier for your schedule? Because everybody has a different schedule, different work schedule, background, and what works best for you. So I'm going to dive in. I have a few minutes to answer people's questions. You guys can type it in here, and I'll try to get it to as many as I can. I'm going to go dive in right into the questions that were asked previously, but go ahead and leave in the comment section below. You can also go ahead and leave those comments, and I'll try to get to a few. I'm not able to get to them all today. So the first one that was asked was by Cree Vien. I can't pronounce the last name, but they asked, I do OMAD, but I don't follow a keto diet. My main calories come from vegetables, not starchy like pumpkins or potatoes and legumes. Do you think carbs from veggies count like those from other carbs such as grains? This is a really good question. So people who do the keto diet, does vegetables count as the same carbs? It doesn't. Why? Because vegetables have a lot of fiber, and I call that kind of minus towards the carbs. So like, for example, if you have a cup of celery sticks and it has 5 grams of fiber and 6 grams of carbs, it's really like only 1 gram of carbs that you're taking because of the fiber as binding, and it works differently. So that's why you can consume more vegetables. People get that kind of confused. So you certainly, I always say, while you're trying to do a low carb diet, still be consuming a lot of vegetables. Ones that have a lot more fiber in it is going to be more beneficial while you're trying to do a low carb diet. So that's that question there. Still not working. All right, I'm just going to have to wrap this up. I do apologize. Please still leave in the comment section below your guys' questions. I'll try to answer them later on. But I did record this previously. So thanks for joining this live stream. If you guys are still here and still can hear it, great. It was fun to kind of do the interaction. So it seems like just kind of looking at from people's responses, the winner is the alternate day fasting based off of the questions that I asked, or at least ask comparison between alternate day fasting and 1 meal a day. So if you're new here and want to know more about fasting videos and other health tip videos that we do here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button over here, and then check out our other playlist videos over here that you can check out. Until next time, this is Dr. LeGrand signing out, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.